Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow.
Oh, we're here. There's sound issues. It's just my voice.
And your ears.
Not the actual equipment. Though you might hear some noise. There's a little construction, but I think we'll be fine, judging by where we've done podcasts and things in the past. I think that it'll be just fine if there's a little background noise. Also, okay, well, I guess first, before I get there, I can't even count now how many times this is that we've got in person TNA. Yeah. We're here and back in Washington. I was here for a wedding and then just visiting the family for a few more days, another week actually. But yeah, this is great. This is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. I really can't count because
coming up on 10, right?
We've gotten quite a few in this year in person, and I love it so much. I had hopes and dreams of being able to do so many in person. So it's fantastic to sit here right next to you. Yeah. And it's also been almost 2 months since we've done a TNA episode.
Wow.
Our last one was August 1st.
Holy shit. I was going to ask you when our last one was, and August 1st is 2 months ago. Almost.
Yeah, especially because this will be live September 26th. And
wild.
Yeah, so close
Which
to 2 months.
Which is Quincy's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
My son turns 9 on the 26th. Wow.
That's crazy. That is absolutely craziness.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a wild summer. I mean, I'm glad that it is like the end of September because, for one, I personally was really over the heat.
Yeah.
I did look at the weather in Tahoe, though. It's still like mid-70s. I mean, it still stays nice through September and October. It's just obviously there's less light, so it gets cooler earlier in the day.
Thank God.
Yeah, and stays a little bit cooler in the mornings for longer, too. But it's not by any means like completely sweater weather yet. Even here, yesterday I put a sweatshirt on because it was got kind of cloudy for a minute, and it was still like 73 degrees though. I was like, whoa, I do not need a sweater. It's just gray looking out, but it is not cold. I had shorts on and shorts and t-shirt all day and sleeping with no blankets and windows open.
Yeah,
so
it'll be the same thing today, and I think it's the last of it too, so take advantage.
Yeah, I love it. I'm ready for the fall. I'm not ready for full-on winter by any means, but definitely ready for the cooler weather and for things to just feel like they're slowing down.
Yeah.
Because summer's just a whirlwind always.
Chaos, like there's no schedule, especially for people who have kids and don't have that school schedule to lock you down. I mean, you probably still have a job. For me, I still have a Monday through Friday job, so I'm locked into that. But yeah, it's just all over the place, and you're trying to do so much while also still not feeling like you've done enough.
Yep.
The worst. That's such a shit feeling.
It is, but I feel like we say that like summer's just crazy and a whirlwind and blah, blah, but I kind of feel like that's every day all year long. I don't feel like the seasons really slow me down. I don't know. Though they definitely do, because obviously, again, in winter, it's darker earlier. So when it's dark at 5 p.m., you're not
up till 10:30. You're in bed by 8:30 and asleep by 9. Bless for that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, kind of. But then, man, I think about wrestling season. I'm like, no, now I'm just inside all day. And I'm somewhere 6 days a week until, practice ends at 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever. But, we have tournaments doing this and that. So I'm like, life really doesn't actually slow down. It just changes direction or what it looks like or whatnot. And that's with everybody. I've mentioned this meme, I'm sure, a million times before, but the one that's like, adulting is just saying next week will be that things will slow down next week. And they don't. It's like, somehow it feels like things slow down with the change of seasons, but they actually don't. It just looks different.
Especially with holidays coming up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
God.
It just never, ever ends.
No.
But it's okay.
Better that than the alternative.
Yeah, totally. Just ending. Is that the alternative?
Yes,
Okay.
that is the alternative. That
Yeah.
sure is.
Well, like I said, I mean, we have really not even caught up offline much in the 2 months because we have had our episodes with guests and outside of our episodes. It's, again, a week goes by fast, so it's hard. We're not actually able to catch up once a week and have an hour-long conversation unless we're doing these TNA episodes, and that's where we've said also a million times is how much this podcast has kept us tied together. And so it's crazy to think that through almost 3 years of doing this, that we've gotten to the point that we go almost 2 months without one of these episodes, when really it started with This Is All We Did, and there would be a guest, like, I mean, it took a long time before we got a guest, and then there was like a guest once in a while, and now it's like more guests than TNA. And, I mean, I love that because I've wanted it to grow to that for sure. And I think it still creates a nice balance. There was a time we were like every other week, and we don't have anything regular. That's the thing. That's what I love about it too, is we could from here have, a month of TNA episodes or something. But it does make it a little easier to manage, honestly, when we have guests. We're able to stack a couple like recordings in a week or whatnot, because it is hard to arrange schedules, even via 1 hour via Zoom. It is hard to find that hour in the week that coincides with each other.
People who are from all different walks of life and different states, like. Man, we have a hard time scheduling our chaotic lives. When we add people who are running their own fucking businesses, hot damn, girls. Women are doing so much out there. And my favorite thing about it is, like, it'll be a Tuesday morning. I'm working from home. You're at home. And we're talking to someone who's starting their own business or has started their own business. And it puts you in a whole nother life. And it's so great to just hear how many amazing women are doing so fucking much out there. And speaking of so many women doing so much out there, Rome Fest was this past weekend.
Yes.
It looked amazing from social media.
I know. I am so bummed we weren't able to make it this year. Damn weddings. But, it was a great time. My wedding was a great time. It wasn't my wedding. The wedding I attended was a great wedding. But, and a great time. But Rome Fest, it's still on the list to go to, and it seems like it's one of those things that just gets better every year. It just grows and grows. There's so many amazing people or brands, at least, that we've had on the podcast were there. I had multiple friends from all over that I saw that went and volunteered or went to attend, and so it's just so cool to see so many people from different walks of lives and ways that I know them who attended this event. That's like, oh my gosh, okay, next year, can I please block this out on the calendar? Like, I mean, we have to, but again, when people plan their weddings,
however they choose to do so.
I did say before recording, though, I got to quit making everything about me. So.
But also, when you're in the wedding, it kind of is about you. You know, like, not entirely, but you have to coordinate your life so that you can show up for the people who are getting married.
It's one of those things, it just sucks when two events you really want to be at are at once. We all have to make choices all the time. And besides, now whatever has happened to me now, this voice or anything, this happens to me frequently. I feel like I get this stuffiness and like frog in my throat, and I don't feel ill. Yeah. Like, I never felt like it was a cold or anything. I wasn't like run down, and like, I just got stuffy and this scratchy throat. But I also did some things this weekend that maybe didn't help me recover from that and probably made my throat feel a lot worse. But
sacrifices, man.
Yeah. That's like a once a year thing that I do now, which is stay up way too late or drink hard alcohol way too much in one day. I don't ever drink. I couldn't believe how much I did drink.
And was able to hold it together for a while.
For so long. For so long. I know what put me over the edge, too. I would have got there anyway because I was just like, hey, I'm handling this. But even Joseph, like, oh, yeah, I saw so many people's eyes just, like, make the switch.
Yep.
Like, Andrew saw it all happen, too. But anyways, biking in the desert is something I really want to do and hope to do next year. So if any of my friends do listen to me, maybe let's not do that weekend for your wedding. But great time. And I think there was, I think the whole Sturdy Bees were there.
Awesome.
Pretty sure I saw a photo of that. So it said Wild Rye, Shredley, and a gal I met from Smart Wool.
April was there.
Yep, April, Marley Blonsky.
Yep.
It's like so many women from the biking community that we've either had on the podcast were there or their brands were represented there. And that's just so cool. And that's why I was like, okay, this is one we have to make it to, because I think with the Sturdy Dirty and having making the connections we did there and with them, I just want to do the same type of thing at Rome Fest. And Rome Fest is just a fest, you know, it's not a race or any kind of competition thing. It's all just fun group rides. And I think there's some clinics and things like that too.
Sweet.
So it's a different type of environment. Even though the Sturdy Dirty creates a very welcoming and supportive community, it is still a race.
Yep.
And there are still plenty of people who put that race on like not pedestal per se, but that's what they're there for, is the race.
Yes.
They want to compete, and that can change the way that you approach an event. For us, it wasn't the main thing. We weren't there like for the competitive part of the race. There's also many people who go to that event who aren't there for the competitive part of the race, but you can feel it. Yeah, you can still feel it a bit. You can tell, I think, the people who take it more seriously, or that there are people there for that, and that it's just in the air, that's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel this nervousness because you're not on just a group ride. There are people around you, behind you, like, and you definitely feel a little bit of that in the air. And I would love to not.
Yeah. I think I liked showing up as a supporter more so than a racer, because you get in that headspace and you get in your head and you can't fully step outside of yourself and look at everything that's going on around you. You're fucking in it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing for me too. This year doing the beginner course, which was much longer than the light course. You know, you're on course for like 4 hours or something. That takes up
All
your day.
Yeah.
And this year was pretty hot at the Sturdy, as we've talked about.
Hot.
Like, it really zonked me energy-wise and whatnot. So I just felt that I couldn't enjoy a lot of the other aspects that I wanted to, that we kind of went there with a mindset for. And so, yeah, I think next year I would definitely like to be more on the support side. And even if that looks like being a volunteer on course, where you can maybe have a little more autonomy of what your day looks like and where you might be on course or for how long or something, or you're just not like on your bike all day, like using this other kind of energy or adrenaline or anything, because the adrenaline just sucks it right out of you as well. So that's how I would like to attend the Sturdy next year for sure. And do more events like that are just less energy consuming.
Yeah. Not showing up as the athlete.
Yeah, not showing up as the athlete. And because I have a hard enough time, no matter how much I can say, like, I'm not there for to win or anything, right? It's still the parts of your ego that seep in because of being an athlete, like your entire life, that it's hard not to, for me, it's hard to not be hard on myself. No matter what the results are, even if I had no expectation. And it's just interesting how egos work. And we've like the conversation we had with Taylor Ann comes to mind when we talk about this, because we talked about finding our people, and we've talked about this outside of that conversation too. But it can be difficult to continue to do these things that you love when an ego does get attached to it, or when you have an experience that wasn't the best. Like, getting back into it can be hard. Like, this summer, we both barely biked for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
It's summer, it's busy, as we always talked about. It's hot. It was hot as shit.
Yeah.
So hard to want to go out and bike unless you can do it early morning or late evening, but you're fighting a lot of things there.
Schedule.
Darkness, like, all those things.
Fueling yourself.
So as we come into kind of switching seasons, like, we will be getting into winter, but fall is also a really great time to ride bikes.
Oh my God, yes.
Because of the weather.
And the loam, my dude.
The what?
The loam, the like soil consistency, texture. Especially for here, it's just like so motherfucking perfect.
It's gonna get better. It's still dry in Tahoe, but at least some more moisture hopefully gets in the air soon, for sure. But so yeah, fall is like the best time, I think, to ride, and I have to remember that, because I get unmotivated in the summer. So coming off of like being here in July, the sturdy dirty, I'll like get back to work. It's hot as shit. Just my bike gets put away. And then it's a whole kind of vicious circle, because I didn't want to ride my bike because I took so much time off. So I'm like, well, who am I going to ride with? Because I haven't ridden in so long. I'm, out of shape, blah, blah, blah. Again, like, that's the ego of like, I don't want to play this game of keeping up, or can I ride with this person or that person? And all this shit that comes into mind, where I'm just like, can it just be fall?
Yeah.
And I can go slow. Yeah. And I want to ride at my pace, and the pace that I'm comfortable with. And how do you find those people? And I mean, there's multiple ways, like the Illa app.
Hey.
And which was down, but I think hopefully by this conversation, it's up, their notifications. So you can go find the people that like, hey, this is how I want to ride, the places I want to ride, the level at which I ride.
And the timing, like I had a tiny little window this weekend to go Sunday morning, and I realistically didn't actually have the time, but I was like, maybe I could. And so I reached out to a few people, and it was like everybody was busy. But for situations like that, when you have a tiny little window, even if you don't have the tiny little window, but you want to make time for the tiny little window, put it out there.
But I have to just remember that this time of year is a great time for biking, and like, again, taking that pressure off of like having to do everything all at once. Like in the summer, you feel like I have to do everything all at once. Like, no, I still have time. It doesn't just go from like summer to darkness, winter right away. But it just makes me think about how the next season of activity for me is like outdoor activity is like snowboarding and things, and how much ego is attached to that too. Like these outdoor sports, we feel that they're a lot more ego driven. Yeah. And we were chatting a little bit before recording about this of, maybe why, obviously it's a different why for everybody, but with these outdoor sports that are more individual sports, I can understand where there's more ego attachment, because it's like just you don't have a team to rely on. So you are the one like putting in the work, doing all this, doing all that.
Earning the stripes, earning the titles, earning the like capacity as to which you show up in these sports.
Training alone. Like it's your body. Yeah. It's just you doing it. But then when you kind of widen that scope of view, it isn't just you. So like, okay, compared to a basketball team, soccer team, baseball team, something like that, right? Everyone can, there's times that you can make the winning play or the losing play. It could be like you dropped that catch, or you missed the goal or whatever, or it can be the one that you scored that winning goal or winning home run or whatever. But you still have the entire game that you have to look at. Like, well, if so-and-so didn't make that play over there, you wouldn't have been in this situation. Now, individually, again, you have to like widen that scope for these, and like, there's usually a team behind you too, especially when you do get to the more like professional
Yeah.
level of things, like support teams, trainers,
Mhm.
people have nutritionists, like all these different things. So there
Partners
is,
who take the children so you can go and do the thing.
yeah, so many things that it's like you still do have a team of people. It just looks a little different, but still they seem more ego driven. Like you have so much more to prove when you're out there
Mhm.
because the team is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So you are the one being looked at, and you will also be the one who gets shit on if you do perform badly.
Mhm. And feel the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
More heavily because it is so individual based.
And it's interesting that I feel like that ego comes into these sports a lot, even at the very amateur recreational level of just skiing for fun or mountain biking for fun. Of it, they're like pick me sports, look at me sports somehow, even though they're not the team sports of like, hey, pick me on your dodgeball team.
Yeah.
Like, but and my own ego still, again, I like to think it doesn't play into it, but it does because it affects the way that I enjoy these sports just from my own view. I can be riding with you, you're not going to care how slow I'm going, but I do and put that pressure on myself when we're together. I put it on myself when I'm by myself, but it's how the fuck do you let go of your ego?
I have no idea. I don't even know. You could say you don't care all day, but really deep down, you actually do. Yeah, I don't know how to let go of the ego.
What do you have? Like, do you feel like you have ego in snowboarding or mountain biking that you have to push down?
There's this like, okay, so if I have had a really good day of like, did like something really extreme mountain biking or snowboarding, when I take myself out of that situation, what is that? What am I trying? Like place.
Yeah.
Like if I get off the slopes or like come back into town and have a burger, I have this like, I just did something so cool and these people have no idea and I'm so cool and I'm a badass and I'm a cool mom and blah. You know what I mean? Like just those thoughts of like, I just did something so fucking cool and no one else here fucking did that too. So I'm the coolest dude in the room, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just like, who the fuck are you? Like, get over your titties, sister. It ain't that big of a deal. We're all out here doing cool things, whether it's if you made your fucking bed this morning or if you peaked 2,000 like elevation feet in the, like, you know what I mean? Like we're all showing up the best that we can. Yeah. And if you did something badass, good for fucking you, honey. I'm very proud of you, but also cool your jets. I don't know, like put that on the back burner or like be humble or like check yourself or there's so many like, and like I said, I fucking do it too.
Well, and that's all. I think a lot of this, it's obviously existed for a very long time before social media was around, but it's been amplified by social media and the fact that you feel like you have to take pictures and post it because like if there's no pictures, it didn't happen.
Yes, exactly. And it's hard to see that side of people if you don't see pictures or like someone will come to me and be like, oh, I did this trip and this happened and this happened and this happened. And I'll be like, okay, cool. But when I see pictures, I'm like, oh, that's what you mean. You know what I mean? It's just like hard to like,
well, it's hard not
contextualize.
Yeah. And
conceptualize.
I think, that one, the latter. All of it. Well, it's interesting because I have been really wanting to be off the screens and things more. I'm on them a lot for work. And so it's like, how do I manage multiple social media for like, for multiple businesses and things. So it's like, I have to be on there and how do I also, promote it for myself and the things in the podcast and whatnot. It's really hard to kind of draw a line in the sand of not being on it or getting the photos and videos, right? Like, especially the B-roll shit. And it's like, how can I be off my phone when like literally a video of leaves falling could be something
Yes.
I use. I was like, I don't want to like be looking through the camera lens all the time. I want to be looking, like actually taking things in and what's happening. It's really hard to find that balance, but you also want to have it as memories and things too, and to show people, to be able to give them the picture of what happened, especially if you're trying to tell someone who maybe hasn't experienced anything like it before. Like, okay, I want to be able to show you and explain to you, like, this is what happened. This was the trip or whatnot. But, I mean, you can do that without having an ego behind it, right? It's all about how you're doing it and talking about it. Like, I'm not just like, hey, look at what I did. I'm the best. Look at these photos. No one else could do this kind of thing. So
it's also like, look at me in this facet of my life.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you tell people what you do and how you do things, it's one thing for you to say it and them to be like, okay, yeah, cool. But it's a whole nother thing to like have a picture or a video and for someone to like actually see you in that facet.
Yeah.
Especially with these sports, because it's like someone who's doing ultra running, like you don't quite get it until you see it and get it, or unless you're there, or like same with like snowboarding or mountain biking, because mountain biking is a lot of it's single track. So you're just like on your own doing your thing and nobody actually sees what the fuck you're actually doing.
Party laps are a little bit harder with mountain biking. Where like a party lap skiing, you know, it's a big wide run. You can all come down. I have a better view of you, whether if I'm behind you, especially, or to the side, because it's a wider, like I said, it's not just single track where I've lost you behind the corner. There's
or surrounded in trees. Yeah. Like when you're mountain biking, you're just in trees and the only spectators are the fucking trees, which is so cool. I love it. It's the best. But and we're such a like visually driven society now, with all the social media, with all these phones that have cameras in our fucking pockets at all times. It's just, we're not going to get away from it.
No, we're not. But I think that and it's all fine. I think to be the person who loves to capture everything on video, I go through phases with it in photos and whatever. It's all about how you deliver it or showing people or whatever. But I think the hardest part with ego in these sports are trying to like finding your people to do it with, and feeling like you don't feel like shit or left out or something when you're going to do it, and how you can also make other people feel welcome when doing it, which is trying to word this of, it's not everyone's job to do that, right? Like you can go enjoy an activity and your job is not to like bring more people into it.
Yeah.
But I think it is everyone's job to not make people feel excluded.
Yeah.
So don't be an asshole when you're out there and treat people like shit because of the way they ride,
what they're wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
What gear they're
using. Or
using.
if they ask a question and you're out there and you're like, you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be out here. Like having those mentalities, that's ego that you're gatekeeping.
Yes.
So you don't have to, like I said, be the person out there who's like, yeah, come on out, everybody. Because obviously I think that there's also times and places that no, you shouldn't be that person, especially when trails are dangerous. You know, they might not be suitable for this person. And the way you can talk about that is way, different. Again, it comes to delivery and things of like, hey, it sounds like you may not be super experienced. And I just want you to know this trail is like serious business, whether it's biking or skiing or whatnot. But man, there's still just people I don't even want to bike or ski with or anything, because they have that cool girl or guy aspect that you kind of spoke about of when you come back into town, whatever, and you're like, look what I like in your head, you're like, I just did this.
So cool.
That you can just feel that energy off someone when you show up to a trail and they're like, yeah, look at me, you can't keep up with me, or blah blah blah. It's like, well, I'm just trying to have fun.
And that's also the thing is, like, at the end of the day, most of us are doing this because we want to have fun and make it home safe.
Well, that's exactly I was going to say. There's also, every day is different, right? Well, you don't know the person, and this is into daily life, that you don't know what's going on with somebody, obviously, behind the closed doors any day at work, your friends in life, when you're just saying hi. Like, there's so much we all hold in and are not spilling every single part of our worlds every single day.
Amen,
so
baby.
same thing out in these sports where people are like, I could roll up someday and be not feeling good, or off a knee surgery, or had a serious
started my period,
right? Sick, and I'm like, yeah, well, today this is just what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
And to me, sometimes that's hard to shut down, of like, you have no idea what I've done in my past. And that's something I've also talked about, of like here on the podcast, of being in my 30s and getting to almost an identity crisis, because realizing being in Tahoe and people judging me for the things I do now or the way I look now. And I'm like, you have no idea what I've done in my past, and feeling like I have to prove myself because of that, when it's like, really, no, I don't. Cause like, I did that.
Yeah.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
So
that was a time in my life. Like, and it's also a part of aging, of being like, oh, I remember when I used to be the top dog of X, Y, and Z, and now I'm just a sideline spectator who's like washed up, and like, I used to be there, but now I'm not. Which washed up probably isn't the best term to use for it, but it's
that's
like,
how we feel.
It's the evolution of who we are as people.
Yeah. And again, that's our own ego splitting up there, like, oh, I used to be this, and now I'm not. And so now you're in your head about it. And like, you want to prove that like you used to be able to do it. But then it's also like, if you're trying to prove what you used to be able to do to the person that is doing now, it's like, that's not good either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but man, it's just a trip. You're always fighting the ego.
Always.
Yoga talks about your ego all the time. And how to like kind of suppress it. And I don't think suppress is the right word either, because really it's let go, not just like shove it down, but just completely let go of it. But I think it's always going to show its face in your life in so many different ways, human. Whether it's through sport, work, like
capabilities,
just like how what you're showing up in the day to day, because
there's a lot to be said for these things that we do. Like you've earned it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you earn the knowledge, you earn the experience, you earn the skill set, and that's fucking great and awesome.
Yeah.
But also be humble.
Yeah, totally. It's a whole rant that really has no ending to it here. Basically, what we're just trying to get at is these sports we love. We feel like there's more of an attachment to the ego and things like mountain biking and snowboarding and whatnot than we personally felt like in team sports or whatnot. But again, it's very individual. Some of the top athletes who are a part of team sports have the biggest egos and are assholes. So anyone can be an egotistical asshole for sure. But it's something I think you have to try to teach kids to figure out.
Yes.
And so through like examples. Team sports, I think working with a team so they figure out that how to do that, how to work with a team, but also individual sports, like how to stand on your own.
Yeah.
I just think every kid should do both.
Yeah. Yeah. And for Quincy, his whole life, I've always done like individual sports for him, but now he's on a team sport, and it's so great to watch him evolve. And especially since he is an only child, like it is so good for him to win as a team, to lose as a team, to win and lose, because he used to be a really horrible sore sport loser. And this is like, he's just grown to accept the losses. And I think that's, we all have to do that. You know what I mean? Like we all have to accept our wins and our losses the best we can.
It's so hard.
It's so fucking hard, especially when you work hard for the thing and then you don't succeed to the capacity that you want to. It's a big blow on you.
Absolutely. Like I said, it could be anything, daily life, like not getting the promotion, not getting the job, just I don't know. To me, sometimes it's simply at the gym.
Yeah, or like not really getting a workout in that day.
Yeah,
body movement,
like, taking the wins and losses as they come, and how do you do it and how do you handle it? And so there's some people who figure it out and are really, really good at it. But I think for a lot of us, major point here is just that it is still a struggle very often throughout life. It shows up often. And whether you have kids, don't have kids, fight with it here and there or whatever, I think that at least most of my friends struggle with it at some point,
100%.
even when you're just trying to have fun.
Yeah.
Or just going to the gym, that it's like, God, why are we so hard on ourselves?
Yeah.
And how
Or
do we
just
not
trying
be?
to get a half an hour of body movement.
Yeah.
And after you've spent all day on your screens that you were trying not to spend
Yeah.
time on the screens, like it's like, is balance even a thing?
No,
Especially
it's
in
not.
this world. It's like, is it even a thing?
Not 50-50. That's
Nah,
for
dog.
sure.
Never
That's
50-50.
something too. We just said, like, the balance is most often not. It's not a 50-50 balance. It's gonna look like I have
Especially
70-30
in relationships.
and
in
there's
my
this,
opinion.
you like your 100% for that day is your 100% for that day.
Yeah.
Which the next day it could look like you're a 60%, but it's like, that's what you had to give today. That was your 100% today.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of days that we have that I'm sure that I did not give 100% today, and I don't give a fuck that I didn't. But
Yeah, because I
there's
have
some
the
days
rest
I'm
of the
giving
week.
like
and
100%, and it feels like a 50%. But it's like, okay, no, that was my 100% today.
Yeah.
That's what I had to give today, and so that's what I gave. And yeah, it's
Continue. Trying is hard.
it is. And I feel like I am trying, like, I'm in that state right now, kind of coming out of summer where it was a blur and I'm just going through the motions and kind of going through stuff now in the fall of like looking a little more inward, like I said, trying not to take everything so personally, but also give myself grace. Yeah. And like, well, I don't have that to give, but again, turning that lens outside where if I don't have this to give, then this person probably doesn't either. So why am I holding them to like this standard? But it's the thing, I hold myself to such high standards with things that I think I hold too many other people to that same.
Yes.
And
assume
yeah,
that they will be able to perform. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
That's a fucking hard one right there, my friend.
How do
we
you
can't even start on that conversation
yeah.
right now because I'll
definitely. Well, it's like, yeah, how do you
I mean, we can.
like not look at your own standards and expect someone else to uphold them? That's again something I think a lot of us struggle with, but in the end, that comes a lot to, first of all, others' capacity of not knowing what they're truly dealing with and going through. So, of course, you can't hold them to your own standards because, one, they're not their personal standards.
Yeah.
They're not you, and you have no idea what is going on behind the scenes that could stop them from being held to those standards. And it's just something that in any kind of relationship, your expectations of each other have to be communicated, and there just has to be understanding in them all. That it's just that damn communication.
Fuck, man. I do that whole holding a standard to other people thing with my family members so hard, and I'm like, sorry guys, but also step up.
Yeah. Well, that's
with all due respect.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's hard.
Fuck.
And again, people are wired differently.
Yes.
So why, like,
and
should they want to do this if they
goals?
And you got to be the way you are through certain things in life too. Why you have these standards, like whether they're just from expectations that were put on you growing up, or
you put on
traumas,
yourself. Yes.
Like whatever it is, y'all got to your own standards and expectations a certain way. So most likely no one else went through the same exact thing. And maybe they have similar stories of how they got to where they were, but that's all of this stuff is just so literally rooted so deep that you have to just kind of take a second to look in and dive in. And so that's where,
and
that's
sit
what
with
the fall's
sit
doing
with yourself
to me
on it.
Yeah.
And like ask yourself these questions and really take the time to be like, answer those questions that you are asking yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, why do I want these things that I want? Why is my expectation here on that?
Where does it stem from?
Yeah. And why if this person like does this or doesn't do this or whatever, like why does that affect me so much when it's like not meant to be about me. And
Where does
this is the season of fall, is introspection. So summer
especially
is
with all that new moon woo-woo stuff.
We've talked about the seasons with Angie Marie, and that was heavily into like seasons with your cycle and how women go through that, like monthly. So that's week to week. There's 4 seasons in a year. There's 4 weeks in a month. You go through a spring, summer, winter, fall with your period monthly, but also how much of our circadian rhythm, like annually, is affected, and we really do change. I mean, we know that SAD is a real thing, seasonal affective disorder. So the seasons really do affect the way we move through our life, our energy and things. And
1000%.
That is what fall feels like, is like you're getting ready for that hibernation. So it's like you're starting to kind of turn that way. Things are slowing down, and
you're harvesting.
I very much feel like I am aligning with that. Is officially fall. So I'm like, yep. And that also, I think, is why I'm kind of trying to be off my phone, set some more kind of boundaries here, allow these things to happen in the way, the feels to just like do their thing.
Feeling things. Yes.
Not just like block them off or put them aside because of like avoidance or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's go with this. Let's go with this slow down season. Like I said, even though it's not truly, you can't slow things down in life, like work or commitments or things, but like there is an energy about it that's really wanting you to do it.
Yes. Yeah. I think I do the slowdown starting at the end of August, because that's when school starts for kiddos, and I'm like, summer's coming to an end, and I get so fucking sad when summer comes to an end and fall comes. And so I've really been trying to embrace fall, embrace the slowdown, embrace the sadness, embrace the change.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge shift. It's a big shift. But luckily around here, fall still does its sunny, cold fall thing, and we get like little snippets of summer here and there. Like today it's happening. Yesterday it happened.
The sun just started breaking out. The cloud, it was foggy until literally sitting here. Now there's blue sky.
Yeah, and sun shining on these bright yellow leaves that are changing.
So I feel like it can definitely vary so much where you live, because here in the Northwest, that slowdown, I feel like, happens a lot more to you physically, because truly the morning feels so slow. Yeah. Because it was so foggy and cold, gray, like that you're like, okay, slow moving morning, wake up. Now all of a sudden at noon, it's blue skies, and you're like, oh, here's the day. So like just such a slow
Wish I would have wore shorts.
The day, that it's like, again, natural, this natural seasonal thing. But I used to feel the same way about the end of summer and into the fall. Like I had a really hard time with that transition. And then being in Tahoe is really what made me start to appreciate falls and love it, because it doesn't have that. I feel like it's a much more slower progression into the season, because you do still have the sun. Yes. Like you don't have the slow-ish mornings. Like, it's darker like everywhere, but it just hits a lot different there than I felt that it hit here. And it's made the transition easier for me. It's made me really enjoy it, because I feel like it's more in line with the way that I want to slow down and not so sudden. Yep. Where it can feel here that like it's fall. Yep. Like, and it's over. Yeah. Everything's over. Like,
winter's coming.
Yeah, it's here. And
Christmas is coming.
Yeah. So it's interesting how we actually truly do emotionally and physically react to the seasons. Yeah. It's a real life thing. Yeah. But
it's a real
life thing.
We like egos.
Yep. Just like egos. So thank you guys all for sticking around for the tangents that we've gone on of just circles and circles of egos and seasons and changing.
And balancing things and being a person.
Yes. But we didn't ever... I'm sure it's kind of the same thing. That's why maybe we didn't dive into it. We got into biking and things, but what have you been up to since August? What has life looked like ending summer and going into fall now?
Quincy started soccer as I said earlier. So that's been very time consuming and amazing and awesome and a struggle. Like he says he doesn't want to do it. So like getting him to go to practices and games is like, it's a fucking struggle.
Does he say he wants to do it like doesn't want to do it like weekly? Is it one of those things of how when you're a kid
it's the pulling
going
him
to
off
school?
of video games and screens to go away from video games and screens.
But once he's there, he's like, okay.
But once he's there, he's fucking slaying it, man. He fucking slays. And it's just so beautiful to watch him grow in this and learn the sport and watch me grow in it and learn the sport. And I haven't really, I mean, like I played soccer for 1 year in high school and it was so fucking fun. I loved it. I loved it. Wish I would have done it more. But yeah, it's the benefits are going to outweigh everything that he's complaining about. So yes, it's been a struggle. Yes, I'm going to continue to try and harness this and facilitate it.
How long is the season?
There was like a preseason in the summer. So come August, they started doing games, a little like tournaments here and there, practices, and it goes into November. So we'll be doing that every Saturday until then.
Is it just every Saturday games, or does he practice
games every Saturday and then practices on Tuesdays and Thursdays? And then Murray has him on Tuesdays, so Murray will be facilitating the Tuesday practices. But I also was like, Murray had a issue with me planning time for his time, so I am always like, I'm here to facilitate if you need me to. And I tried getting another project with work, but wasn't able to get it because they needed somebody more full-time. And that really hit me hard. I was super bummed out that I wasn't able to get that additional project because it would have been so much more money and responsibility and growth within the company. But my time is coming, and just like trying to be patient and sitting with that.
What would that have looked like if you were able to say, like, I can go full time?
Oh, my life would have been absolutely chaotic, and I would have sacrificed a lot of time with Quincy.
That's what
I wouldn't be able to drop him off at school or pick him up like I really, really, really want to. I think it's just so important because so much happens in their little lives before, like, so much happens in their little lives at school. Like, so fucking much happens, and I just want to be there for him for the pre and for the debrief. Like, I just want to be there for him. I'm like really trying to just like, especially coming into him becoming a preteen. Like, I just want him to feel like he can talk to me about all and any things. And then I've been going to a lot of live music. I made it a goal to like go to more music this summer. And so I fully hit that goal.
That's awesome.
And then, I didn't do any backpacking, but I'm hoping to go next weekend, which might have to get bumped back to the following weekend because we haven't even planned Quincy's birthday party.
I was going to ask about that.
Oh, fuck. I'm like,
wait, is he with you this weekend or is he with Murray this weekend?
He is with Murray. I picked up some shifts at Peaks. So he'll be with Murray because he's been with me for the past 3 weekends and mama needs a fucking break. Especially since he, like, a lot of his energy goes towards soccer. So, like, after his soccer game this past weekend, I was like, let's go look for mushrooms. And he was like, I'm tired. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But I did make him walk for like 20 minutes with me in the woods, and although we didn't find any mushrooms and I didn't get to go as deep into the woods as I potentially would have liked to, I'm glad to have just got him walking in the woods with me.
Definitely.
What else have I been up? Oh, I'm trying to run. I'm running now. Yeah. And I've only been able to do like 2 or 3 miles, but it's still.
Do you go nonstop on those 2 to 3 miles?
More of like a walk run.
Okay.
I think I've only done 1 run where I ran the whole time.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm like, honestly, all summer I did not move my body. I did not really work out. My road bike was fucked up. I fixed that.
That's good.
By some roundabout figuring out I didn't know if my bike was tubeless or not. Oh, fuck. I'm very embarrassed, but a buddy came over and helped me, and he's like, this isn't tubeless. And I'm like, cool, that's right. I knew that. But I didn't. I did not, because I'm like, my mountain bike is tubeless. I'm like, I know one of these are.
Yeah, totally.
So anyways, fixed my road bike. I started doing that a little bit more and moving my body. I'm just like truly making it a goal to just move my fucking body, especially with the sitting at a computer, not really doing a whole lot of physical activity thing. So that is what my August has consisted of, and like still trying to keep consistent with the dipping, the cold plunging. And that's been really lovely. We're going to go, my girlfriends and I are going to go tonight and get our last girl dinner beach dip in this evening. Janie came with us last time, which I should probably hit her up and let her know about what we're doing tonight. Yeah. So just, yeah.
Well, that sounds like a solid summer and transitioning into fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Running's great to do around here year round. We can always go on a run. I mean, yeah, it gets rainier, but like, if you're just shooting for 2 to 3 miles, there's always a window to do a couple times a week.
Yes. Even if it is your run turns into a walk.
Yeah.
You're moving your fucking body. Like I'm also trying to embrace that. Like, even though I didn't do X, Y, and Z to the capacity as to which I had high hoped I would, I still am out here doing X, Y, and Z, which is better than doing no thing.
Exactly. I love that because I hate running so much, and it's mostly because of the fact that I can't do it and being where I am. A lot of people I know run, and like 5 to 8 miles, is the average threshold. I feel like. And so just running a mile, it feels like that should be the warm up at the gym, Yeah. And 3 miles feels like that's the bare minimum. And also where I live, and to go down my hill is half a mile. Yes. So it's kind of like, that's what pisses me off, is like just to get to the point where I can run, because then I have to run half a mile up that hill.
And that's a shit ton of elevation gain. Yeah. Like that is a steep hill.
I know. I'm so glad you finally got to see it. Because again, this is like one of those things where having the context, it really helps you understand that, okay, yeah, by the time I get to the flat-ish road, it's half a mile, and then I have to go up that half a mile. So for me to get a like just slow-paced, somewhat flat 3 mile run in, well, I'm already 1.1 miles of like downhill. Yeah, it's different, but it's just, and I'm not going to drive to the bottom of the hill. Yeah. I want to so often, because that time that it takes me to get back up that hill, that's,
and the energy,
like 15 minutes to get up the hill. Mm-hmm. So that can be a lot of time when it comes to your energy after like running or something, like running another 15 minutes up
or time of day that you time it with the days getting shorter, having that amount of light,
like 30 minutes, just the hill down and up. So like when you just want to go run for 30 minutes, I'm like, well, 30 minutes is that getting down my hill and back up it. Yes. So that's not a quick, that's why I want,
especially
like
ending on an uphill.
Yeah, awful. I want a little razor or something. Yeah. A little better excuse to drive and park that at the bottom of the road. Yes. And there's so many roads behind me that I can, like, okay, well, if I can drive to the gate, drive here and then like go run, and that saves me the time and energy. But I'm also not driving my car to this trail to go run, because I hate that too. Mm-hmm. I hate having to drive to a trail to run, but and it's sort of where I live. Like there's all these things, but anyways, I'm proud of you for running.
Thank you.
And whether it's really a slow, a walk, jog.
Yeah.
I read some funny stuff happening with ultra runners recently, because this gal I used to work with, Helen, she's like a professional ultra runner, but she is a professional ultra runner. And so she posted this and about this woman, ultra runner, who got caught, her and her husband, changing Wikipedia pages and taking of other like professional ultra runners, removing the accolades or the fluffy words of their accolades, like world renowned or popularly known as like the best runner, just weird words she would take out that made it seem like they weren't as good as they were, but then adding those to her own page.
Weird.
And like Wikipedia sent her a bunch of notifications, and they were like, you can't do this, like you can't fluff up your own page, like we don't, it's a conflict of interest to add these, because Wikipedia is supposed to remain neutral and not add these adjectives to make it seem like anything extra, which I didn't know they did and had all these admins. But anyways, they banned the user who was making all these changes, and then they created a new email, and Wikipedia actually like traced it back to their IP address, and it was the old email of this woman from like 2007. And so it's just so funny that like, it's speaking of ego, because I thought of this earlier and I was going to mention it, of how crazy fucked up professional athletes can be with it, that here you are, a known ultra runner, like you're getting the accolades you deserve.
Yeah.
So why do you need to bring down other people by changing their Wikipedia page? You and your husband are doing this as a team, changing this. And
sounds personal.
Yeah, totally. And people just, now they're really going to hate her. People who are talking about like, wow, what like a very talented person. Why do you need to go do that? And like, that's not what our community is about, especially something like ultra running, which is pretty damn niche in the world of sports when you think about, so are a lot of these sports, but you know, like, it's just not the community that most of those athletes are trying to create. And it's something that's still very much being built and trying to get, I wouldn't say trying to get mainstream, but like a lot of people in the world don't know much about it and things. So it's not the way you build up a sport, is by the heavy hitters in it just bringing people down. Like that doesn't make the rest of the world want to be a part of that community, when it's just like, oh, you're just actually like terrible to each other.
Yeah. Or like when you come to your senses for having actions like that, doing a like public apology, like when you, if it does like, I think that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, totally. And I'm like, do they have kids? Do they want kids? Because those are those things that you think about, like, well, I'm sure you wouldn't want your kid to do that, but there are people who teach their children to do things like that too. And that's just like that, there's just some deep work they need to do personally to think this is just not how humans should behave or treat each other.
and as a parent, I hold my kid on a pedestal 100%, but also trying to teach him the ways of like learning how to lose.
Well, like, and not at the like chance of downgrading others, you know, you're not like, you hold him to a pedestal, you are gonna love him, worship him, all that, he's yours, but you don't talk down about others to him to make him feel like he's on that pedestal. You know, you just do the things that would make him feel like you love him so much, and you're like, he will always have your love. But again, not at the not at the expense of putting others down. He's not like, I'm the best because my mom said Bobby sucks, you know. And so, like you're putting others down, these people, to build yourself up. And that is something, a trait that I would probably see you teaching your children. And I hope that if they have children, they are not doing that.
Also, that's kind of narcissistic.
Super narcissistic, insane. But yeah, so that's the world of running, ultra running right now.
And speaking of egos, like those ultra runners do some very incredible, amazing things, and you rightfully shouldn't even say that. You earn the ego. Yes.
Yeah.
Period. But also, be humble.
You earned the accolades, but you don't have to like talk shit to others or do things like that. Yeah. But yeah.
How's your August been?
Hot. It was just hot. That's all I can say. All I'm gonna do is complain about how hot it was this summer. I don't know what the fuck happened. I mean, it was just worked. Also did not ride my bike. September has come, and
do you remember?
Oh, that played. That was 21st day of September was actually Jason's wedding, so the song played. But yeah, August just went by with a bunch of work, and then September has come and gone with the same nothing super exciting happened, I was really just pushing forward to get to here. Work did slow down a bit, just the fact that after Labor Day, things slowed down a little in Tahoe. But we had our cornhole tournament for wrestling,
Nice.
which was huge because I don't even know if we got to talk much about it on the podcast if I mentioned it. I'm sure I did, but I mean, it was months of planning. And so it turned out great. We had a great turnout. So it was really good to see that come to fruition and for our first event to be successful, because we want that to be an annual event. And I can hold it too. Sorry. And we're looking forward to doing it again next year. But it's been nice that once that was over, that was the first week of September. That's what really kind of felt like, okay, things will start to slow down. It was Labor Day. And so the last couple weeks of September have just been kind of winding down to this trip where I can feel like, okay, I'm actually using this week here in Washington to like do nothing, as opposed to the trip in July that felt, nonstop on the go. I've been moving my body, going to CrossFit, and that's been great. But this week I'm 100% like, I don't want to do anything. I will move my body, but I'm taking all the pressure off. Like, I just want to visit with the kiddos, the niece and nephews, and had the shebang at the wedding. And for the most part, I'm trying to kind of like disappear for a week.
Good on you.
So when I get back to Tahoe on a Monday, I can be like, okay,
I'm here.
ready to work. I got a couple days of my work from home stuff, and then I go to the restaurant and brewery for 4 days in a row. So it's like, yep, I'm being a little radio silent. Don't want to talk to many people. Just hermiting out while I'm here.
Yeah, tis the season.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been that. And then in October, a couple weeks, just work, and then the Outdoor Media Summit.
Yeah. Did you reach your goal?
I didn't reach the goal yet of 1,500, but I got to 1,000, which means I got to get the ticket and the lodging.
Woo!
And I'd still really, really trying to get to that 1,500 because I need that other 500 for the travel cost. And I haven't been talking much about it lately, but I need to kind of start to get back on that. I was just so happy to have reached the ticket cost and the lodging cost, because together that was $1,000. And so like I said, that 500 will be the travel cost. And that's just like I said, the bare minimum of what I need to get there. And, it'll be a couple days off work. But at least if I have the cost covered of the getting there and the staying there, then that is the huge, the biggest thing. So yeah, I need to get back to work on like doing that aspect, trying to get that last. I think it's technically $450. And with gas prices in California, like I said, because I don't know if I'm going to drive or fly. Probably at this point drive, because I planned on it. But really the cost of driving and flying is about the same. It's hundreds of dollars either in a ticket or in gas. So, because it's like a 13 to 14 hour drive.
Okay.
So yeah, working on that part still, but so glad I got the ticket and lodging at least, because it's like, now that those are done, I mean, I'm going.
Yeah, you're going.
Like, I am going. It might be stressful as fuck to still get there, make that part happen, but there's no turning back now, basically.
Yep.
So that's good in a sense, right? Like I can't turn back now, but it's also nerve-wracking of like, oh my God, is this going to be worth it? Like, I know it is, but that it's knowing how much the cost of getting there is hard. Yeah. Like, okay, fuck. And, but yeah. So that's something I've been avoiding thinking about, because the stress has hit of the final push to get the travel cost. But by the way, out there, folks, the Buy Me a Coffee is still out there to get that last $450 to actually get the travel there. But yeah, other than that, just trying to figure out what winter will be like and what work will be like as I start to get close to wrestling season, and how I'm going to incorporate that in life with a not full-time remote job, piecing things together to be able to do that. And yeah,
And getting your RV ready for winter.
Yep.
And always and.
All the ands. But I think that probably wraps it up for us with our crazy tangents and updates. And
hey, man, it's been a hot minute.
It has been a hot minute, like I said, almost 2 months. So hopefully you've missed our tangents, stayed along with it, especially to hear the plug at the end for the OMS. And yeah, I don't know what our plan is next. We don't have much on the docket. You might hear from us again next week, just us or some form of us for sure.
Need another TNA
yeah, we might.
There's so much more to talk about.
There is. But anyways, thanks for sticking along, everybody, throughout the weeks, the years, our 3 years coming up. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. I feel like it's October 20-something, but yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we'll have to plan a special TNA episode for that one.
Yes.
At least our birthday episode. But
record a whole live one. Or something.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean live?
Like video.
Yeah, totally. We could stream this live.
Because it's a totally different thing when you see it
live. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye!
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.